Hey guys, my name is Tensor. Welcome to the Flutter chat app tutorial. As the name of the tutorial suggests, we're going to be building a chat application using Flutter. Flutter is a cross-platform framework built in Dart that allows us to build applications that work simultaneously for Android, iOS, as well as the upcoming Google Fuchsia operating system. So to get started with this, you want to have the Flutter SDK installed, and I also recommend you use IntelliJ because they have excellent support inside of this IDE. After you hit next, you'll see a box like this. You get to choose the name of the application as well as where the application will be. You also get to choose the Android language and the iOS language. I'm going to choose Kotlin and Swift, even though we're not even going to be interacting with these languages. When you have everything to your liking, you just hit finish. With Dart, the convention is to use underscores rather than dashes. So if you try to use a dash for the module name, it will throw an error. Once the application is finished building, you'll get this bit of boilerplate. And essentially all this application is a application that allows you to increment a little counter widget inside of the Flutter application. You'll notice that you also have an iOS folder, and in here you have what is essentially a basic iOS application. And you also have an Android folder which also has a basic Android application inside of it. Most of the application's logic will actually be inside of the lib folder. I'm just going to remove all the boilerplate and leave the class myapp, and we'll use that as a basis for this project. You also have the pubspec YAML file, which you'll find in every Dart application. This is where you get all of your dependencies. In this particular application, we're not going to be adding any extra dependencies. For our application, we're going to make 2 additional imports to what's already in here. We already have the package Flutter Material Dart, and this is where we get all of our material design widgets that we can use to build out our user interface. But I'm also going to bring in Foundation, which is essentially just a core Flutter framework library that allows us to gain access to the Flutter primitives. And I'm also going to bring in Cupertino, which is a library that helps us build out widgets that look very much like native iOS widgets. At the top here, I'm going to make 2 theme data primitives. One of them will be a theme data for the iOS theme. We can define a primary swatch, which I've defined as red, the primary color, which I've defined as a type of gray, and then I've also defined the primary color brightness as dark. For our Android theme, we only need 2 fields. We need our primary swatch, which I'm going to make into a blue color, and then we need our accent color, which I'm going to make into a very light green color. I'm also going to make a constant, and this will be our default username. This application is just a chat application. However, we do not have any logging in or anything like that. In fact, this chat application will not really be all that functional. We'll be able to put in messages. However, they won't be sent anywhere because we won't have any kind of backend. If you did want this chat application to work properly, you could very easily integrate something like Firebase. However, this tutorial will not cover that implementation. So now that we have our 2 themes and our constant username, we have our entry point, which is this void main function. And then we have a class called myapp, which extends a stateless widget class. Flutter is a really cool framework because everything is sort of built as a widget. Even things that are not even visual are considered widgets inside of Flutter. When we extend the stateless widget class, we need to implement a build method inside of this class. So we're going to override the natural build method, which will allow us to output a widget, which is essentially just a stateless UI element. The widget that we want to return just defines the title of this application, and it also defines the theme of the application. And then we'll be able to inflate the actual chat application inside of it. So we're creating a new material application widget, and we can set the title. So we're basically saying if default target platform equals target platform iOS, then we want to use the iOS theme, otherwise we want to use the Android theme. Then we want to specify the home widget, which will be a new chat instance. Our chat application will extend the stateful widget class. This means that this widget can have state inside of it. This class is fairly simple. All we're really doing with it is we're extending the stateful widget class, and then we're overriding this createState method by creating a new chat window class object. So this returns a state, and a state, again, like everything else inside of Flutter, is essentially just a widget. Our chat window class will extend state, and we'll embed a chat inside of our state, and then we'll add the ticker provider state mixin class to this. This will allow the screen to sort of scroll like a ticker every single time a user inputs a new message. Inside of our chat window, we want to define a few variables. So we'll create a list of messages. These will be stateless widgets that hold all of the text that a user inputs on our window. Then we also want to create what's called a text editing controller. This is what allows us to basically control what's happening with our input box. And we also want to create a boolean which checks to see if the user is writing something into that text box. And we'll naturally set that boolean to false. Our chat window class also needs to implement a build method, and this build method takes in our build context. We're going to return a scaffolding widget. First, we define a new app bar, and our app bar will have our title, which will just be chat application. We'll give that app bar an elevation based on the platform. If we're on iOS, then we'll give it a 0.0 elevation. If we're on Android, we'll give it a 6.0 elevation. After our app bar, we can create a body inside of the scaffold, and this will be a column widget. The column widget will have children inside of it. The children are just a list of widgets. Inside of this column, we'll create a flexible. The flexible will have children, each of which will be a list view builder. We're creating a list view based on the amount of messages that a user has put into the chat window. And we're using this anonymous function here for our item builder. All we're doing is iterating through all of our messages in our state, and then based on the amount of messages we have, we're creating our list view. So we're creating a view for each of the messages, and we also have to get the item count, so we just call messages.length for that. We want this to start at the bottom and move to the top, so we want to reverse it. And then we're going to give this some padding, so we use this edge insets widget. We give it .all, and we want it to be a 6.0 padding all around. After our flexible, we'll create a small divider, and then we'll create a small container which will have a child called build composer, and we'll give it a decoration and a box decoration with a theme of the card color, which is just our accent color. This container here is going to have our button, so the button to actually input the message, and then the actual input box. That's all we're really doing, is we're having a small divider between where all the messages are being displayed on the screen, and then we're having at the very bottom of our screen our input box and then our button. So now we'll create the build composer method. In here we're going to return what's called an icon theme. We want to set up the icon theme, and we're going to set it up with our accent color. And then we're going to create a child container inside of this. This will be the container that holds our input box. So inside of the container we'll create a margin. We'll use our edge insets again, and this time we'll make them symmetric, and we'll make them horizontal and have a 9.0 spacing. For our child, we'll create a new row, and then the row will have children, and the children will be a widget of list with a flexible inside of it, and that flexible will have as its first child the text field. Inside of our text field we have the controller, which we're tying to our text controller. Then we are adding an onChanged function, and this is an anonymous function that takes in a string. We want to then set the state, so we'll call a function called setState, and we're going to change our boolean based on whether or not the string has changed in length. Then we also need to create a function for onSubmitted, and the function will be called submitMessage. Now we just want to add an input decoration collapsed to our input box. This is just essentially some hint text that will sit inside of the input box until the user actually clicks on the input box, and it will say enter some text to send a message. After this, we want to create a new container. We'll give it a margin of new, edge inset, symmetrical, horizontal 3.0, and this container is what's going to contain our button. We want our button to take up a very small portion of the bottom of the screen, and we want our input box to take up the rest of the screen. The input box has a 9.0 padding, and the button only has a 3.0 padding. Now with our button is where our Cuperino library comes into play. For the child, we first check to see what the platform type is. So if it's iOS, then we want to create a new Cuperino button with a child of text submit, and then on pressed we'll check is writing is true, and if it is, then it will run an anonymous function that will call the submit message function with the text controller.text inside of it. Otherwise, if it's false, then it will return null. If we're on Android, then we'll create a new icon button. The icon of this button will be this little message box that you can see over here in the left column, and then on pressed is exactly the same as above, where it's just checking to see if is writing is true, and then if it is, it runs an anonymous function which runs submit message with text controller.text inside of it. So then we want to add a decoration. This will be at the bottom of our screen. It'll just be like a border. This will only occur on iOS. So we create a new box decoration if we're on iOS. We give the border a new border, and we say the top is a border side with a color of brown 200. Otherwise, we just return null, so we don't have the box decoration at all. We only really need this on iOS because it makes the application look a little bit more native to the iOS platform. Then for now, we'll create our submit message function, and this will just be a stand-in for now. All we're going to do is clear out the input box by clearing out our text controller, and then we're going to set the state of our is writing to false. Now we'll add a few more things to this function after we create our message class. We want to create a constructor for our message class, and it will have a string and then an animation controller called animation controller. Because our message class extends stateless widget, we need to implement the build method. We're going to return what's called a size transition, and we'll give this a size factor of a new curved animation. Our size translation will be basically where all of our messages are. So essentially these are the views that we're inserting into our list view inside of our chat screen. We want this to sort of have an animation so that when the message pops up it sort of looks nice. So we add our animation controller to it as the parent, and then we are going to specifically call curve.curve.bounceout. We'll give our size translation an axis alignment of 0.0 so it stretches all the way across the window, and then we'll create a new child container inside of it. We'll give this the edge insets, and we'll make it so that it's 8.0 vertically, and then we'll create a row inside of it. And we want our widgets to be sitting side by side even though they're in a vertical view. So we're using what's called cross-axis alignment. We have to specify that our cross-axis alignment starts where the row starts. We create our list of widgets inside of our children, and we create a new container. We give it a margin where we want the margin to be to the right. So this will push everything all the way to the left. And we're going to make this into a circle avatar. So essentially it'll just be a big circle, and it will have the first letter of our default username inside of it. And in fact, I want to push it further to the left, so I'm going to give it a edge inset only right of 18 instead of 10. So now after our circle avatar and the end of our container, we create a new expanded. This will have a child which will be a column, and we want this to be cross-axis aligned. And then we have our children, one of which will be our text, which will have the default username, and the style will be based on the theme of the context that's being passed through this function, based on the text theme.subhead. And then we have a new container, and we're going to push it slightly to the bottom of the view, and we'll give it the child, which will be a new text with the actual text of the message inside of it, so the txt, which we're passing through our message controller. So now that we have our message class finished, we want to finish our submit message function. Inside of this on submit, we want to create a new message, and we specifically want to give it the text that we're passing through the submit function, and we want to give it a new animation controller, and we'll specify that this has vsync, and we'll give it a duration of 800 milliseconds. This will make it sort of slide up. Then we want to call setState again so that we can insert our message element into our messages list. We call .insert, and then we want to insert it on the 0th index. Then we actually want the animation to execute, so we call message.animationcontroller.forward. Just for clarification, we send in our animation controller with each message widget, and then when the message pops up onto the screen, it will actually start from the center and sort of fold outwards, and This duration here is the duration that that animation will actually last for. Now, if you remember the size transition that we created inside of our message class and the curved animation, that is essentially the animation type that we chose. So if we wanted to change the animation type, we could change this curves.easeout to something else. Finally, we want to override the dispose function inside of our chat window class, and this will allow us to dispose of the animation after the duration ends. We'll call our dispose function, and this will iterate through all of our messages and dispose of each of the animation controllers. And then it will call super dispose, so it'll run like normal. Alright, so that's it for this application. Now we can run it inside of our Android emulator. So to build this application, you just hit the play button, and you'll see that this will cause Gradle to run, and it will also get all the dependencies again for the Dart application. You can see here that we've got an error happening, and this has to do with, I'm assuming, the color. So the issue that I was having had to do with the brown color. Apparently, for whatever reason, it didn't like that I was modifying the brown color and making it lighter. You can see, however, that I did not actually have to relaunch the application. In fact, the application rebuilds itself and it has full hot reloading, which is pretty cool. Now, even though it has full hot reloading, it's still telling me that I probably need to restart it because certain things have not loaded properly. Okay, so I was finally able to debug this. So the problem is that I'm using this colors library, which comes from the Dart UI library, and I should have been using the material colors library if I wanted to use those types of shades. Anyway, it's not a problem. So here is our application. You can see that it's just a basic box, and we have our screen for our text app. We have our button and we have our input. If we want to actually put in a message, we can. So I've typed in hello world, and I can click the button, and you can see that the button changes colors after I've typed something in. And when I click the button, you'll see that it sort of just kind of slowly draws up the screen. So that's the animation in action. Every single time I type something in and click it up, you'll see that it sort of expands the view from the middle all the way up. Now we do have natural scrolling, which is pretty cool. You can see that once we have enough messages that surpass the screen, we can move the screen up and down, and we even get these little green shadows popping up and down. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this fairly basic Flutter tutorial. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the box below. And if you disliked the video, then by all means downvote it as much as you like. Have a good day.